Good morning and very pleasant evening to all the folks that have dialed in from different parts of the world today. I'm hoping everyone is having a great week. My name is Karen Fujiwara. I am responsible for pre-sales at YASH, and I have about 15 years of HCM background with SAP on-premise as well as SuccessFactors Cloud Solutions. Now, this webinar that we have today is per session as part of our SuccessFactors webinar series that we started a few months ago. And topic that we're going to cover today for this webinar is Employee Central SuccessFactors HRIS solution. With me, I have Cody Carlson, who is YASH's solution engineer, who will be giving us a live demonstration of the solution and walk us through a variety of features and functionality within Employee Central. Before we start, Cody, why don't we go ahead and take a peek into the agenda and see what is in store for today's webinar for this morning. I'm going to actually spend a few minutes to introduce YASH's HCM practice and move into SuccessFactors high-level solution capabilities content. This is where I will spend a few minutes on orienting you with Employee Central functionality on a very high level as a product and what it brings to table in current state of human resources and all the innovation that's happening within the marketplace with all the changes. And then from there, Cody will walk us through and demonstrate the features and the functionality. Once we finish our demo, I will take questions and we'll wrap up. I would encourage you to continue to post your questions in the questions window. Towards the end, I will go ahead and display my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to have a deeper discussion on SuccessFactors Employee Central, or if you would like to know more capabilities on what YASH offers in the marketplace to our customers. So now, in terms of YASH's HCM practice, Cody, let's go ahead and introduce YASH as a starting point. As an organization, we are about 3,500 employees organization and providing various services. Now, in terms of the HCM practice, we have about 120 professionals that are engaged on a variety of HR efforts, whether those are on-premise or hybrid type or pure cloud solutions. Now, our solution modules that YASH offers are typically a combination of onshore and offshore model approach, which is to our customer, it's really a good cost-effective value added. We are proud contributing partners with SAP and SuccessFactors. Again, as an organization, we have capabilities around hire to retire and pretty much anything in between, whether, as you see some of the solutions laid out on my screen, whether full HCM in cloud, hybrid, or pure on-premise solutions. We have all the capabilities to address any and every solution that's there. So from HCM practice, let's quickly take a look at the SuccessFactors model and opportunity. As most of us may be well aware, the current state of human resources and to complement that current state of HR technology has been extremely exciting and very interesting for the last few years. There's a lot of change in air, as I call it, for human resources, for the processes within the organization. And now technology solutions in human resources are all about how can I have a solution, or how can, as a organization, I can have a solution that will enable my organization to cope with the changes that are happening. So in that sort of challenging and in that sort of evolving marketplace, the emphasis and the pressure that we have is on making the right decision. That's sitting really high in any organization today. Now, SuccessFactors, how does that come into play when all of that is happening in the background? That it has introduced, as you see laid out. It's a great architectural platform, and innovation has been the key. The product is evolving. As you see, there are 3 tenants in SuccessFactors architecture, and setting goals and planning, whether you're looking at alignment, optimization, or acceleration. You're looking at recruitment or compensation, you learning content courses, social learning, really optimizing Jam, social platform, all of that. And then as you see, Employee Central being the foundation of the end-to-end solution. Now, because HR is becoming more and more part of the business strategy now, the HR function is moving way beyond, once upon a time just was about automating processes. Now it is moving away from that. It's about reducing cost. You want to make sure the compliance is in place. It's now geared towards to engage your people, your workforce, and drive people decisions that's going to grow your business. So Employee Central supports a broad range of HR processes that also with a very long list of countries and within the 35 languages. So as you see, there is a lot of capability from the global solution perspective. With the solution, SuccessFactors support organization with the setting and executing the strategy. Now, as you see, of course, it's going to all lead to the better business outcomes and the business results. Because there's, again, hire to retire, you're looking at end-to-end life cycle of employee and the processes within HR for any organization. So, Cordy, why don't we go ahead and get into one level deeper, take a look at SuccessFactors Employee Central. What is it all about? So just to set a context, Employee Central is a single global system of record for all of your workforce data. The Employee Central, the offering that it brings to the table for the organizations today is much compelling in terms of usability. I mean, you will see shortly the user interface is user-friendly. It's very interactive, and it's visual. And then from innovation standpoint, now it's a rapidly maturing product, rapidly evolving product. It has already majority of the offerings and all the characteristics that as an HR person or as an HR organization you would expect from HR core system or solution, just to make sure that it includes the robust data models. Just want to make sure the scalability is included as part of the solution. So now organizations have figured out and learned that the key to their organization's success is really to engage the talent and motivate them at the same time. It is significant that your organization's HRIS solution provide you with the complete information file, complete data file of the employee to your leaders to be able to make well-informed decisions. You want to be able to correlate it with data from the other enterprise systems to be able to drive business execution. Now, SuccessFactors, Employee Central Core is it's a flexible, it's a scalable, it's a simplified HR solution, really to think about your HR processes and reinvent your global HR service delivery. HR now, how I see it as an HR professional is that it's able to measure the workforce results and be able to capture the true essence of those results and be able to make better decisions that have really significant impact on organizations' financials. So again, it's all tied to better or improve your business results. Now, workforce today is much more diverse than ever. Not a matter of just accommodating variety of ethnicity or adding geographies or cost centers. It is all about adding new dynamic to your culture within your organization and languages. That's where also SuccessFactors provides you greater deal of flexibility for supporting all of those needs around that workforce dynamic from the global organization perspective. Now, in terms of the solution that allow you configure the solution, extend modular solution. You get it with the metadata framework that SuccessFactors provides, and not only that, you're able to integrate the record to downstreams all type of systems, whether those are HR, whether those are non-HR. So there are tools there that are leveraged. That there are tools that are provided, Dell, Boomi, and middleware products. All of there are several integration tools to achieve to make sure that you have the seamless integration options, because as an organization, you want to make sure you have a flexibility to create, modify, and build your interfaces if needed and however you need it. The innovations and from the deployment perspective, the SuccessFactors implementations are very fast. They are less time consuming. And SuccessFactors from the innovation perspective releases 4 releases every quarter, 1 each every quarter. That's planned per year. It's providing you configuration for the major feature and functionality enhancement on top of the little bug and fixes that they need to as part of their innovation strategy. Let's go ahead and take a high level again look at the functionality that we have within Employee Central. So as you see, there are several cloud boxes laid out on my screen. Before we get into that, some of us may remember from years ago on how cloud was solution, which was with much less flexibility. You got cloud, you got what you got, and that was it. And the level of flexibility was a concern, especially within HR, as our HR processes for any organizations have been extremely complex. But now with the SuccessFactors Employee Central Cloud, the solution allows and it provides capabilities for you to be able to tailor the solution based on your business processes, based on your requirements, and based on your needs. Now, in terms of these features that you see, some of these you will see today at a certain level, from org chart to whether you're requesting absence or hiring or terminating perhaps a payroll-related transaction. Now, from the data perspective, Employee Central data does not live in isolation. The data has to be kept and it has to be used in the right way, making sure on top of that you have audit trail and accessibility that is being monitored. So whether it's for reporting or legal compliance purposes, audit trail capabilities within SuccessFactors Employee Central is granular and allows who can do what exactly for what type of population. And just for even the separation of duties perspective, and it is all embedded into the part of what we call it role-based permissioning for the security. So again, from the integration tools, it has full capability to handle the integration between third-party payroll, benefit, and time, all those solutions, for example, Kronos or Benefit Focus, just to name a couple. Now, the solution, is it people-centric? Let us talk about how the solution is for all, and how does it empower your workforce to be more engaging in their own end-to-end employee life cycles. Cody, can you switch to the next slide, please? So Employee Central key functionalities that we just saw a minute ago help. What does it do? It helps your stakeholders, whether those are your HR business partner, your manager, employee, or any type of leader, to be able to perform their day-to-day transactions efficiently and effectively. As now you are empowering your workforce to take accountability and let them manage their data. And as an organization, again, you want to make sure the audit trail is addressed within your solution, and historical data is stored in the solution for various auditing purposes or various other organizational purposes. Now, because your workforce is on the go, key information is always going to make sure have right at your fingertips and mobile. So when, as an organization, you understand your workforce and your workforce is engaged and your optimization is in full swing, it's most certain to have a huge impact on your organization's business strategy. So we will, now from the HR perspective, next slide, please. We will see briefly today during a demo as well in how intuitive the Employee Central has, for example, organization chart, the org chart, and how user-friendly the solution is to be able to view the workforce data. collect, just overall compile data for an employee, and as an HR, how easy it is to perform the transaction in the system. You're not logging in and out as a different user. Once you're logged in as an employee, and you can switch from being employee to manager. So briefly, I mentioned before that the regulatory compliance is embedded and considered and addressed in strong auditing and strong reporting functionality within the solution as well. Now, this is for HR. Now, from the manager perspective, if we take at the solution, it is very important that you have your managers, they are able to use the solution as a single source of truth. They have the compiled information on the employee to be able to make better determinations, better decisions. So whether they are engaged in work performance reviews or they are busy engaged in establishing the development plans for their direct reports, as an example. So because workforce dynamic has changed and constantly evolving, you want a solution where you are able to address virtual groups, and that's what this solution within Employee Central brings as well, to ensure that you have capabilities around collaboration across the globe for larger organizations as well. SuccessFactors, the solution provides you all of that within the tool and are also be able to perform their work on the go via mobile apps. So it's very important in today's workforce is very modern workforce. Solution has to be integrated with Android, iPad, BlackBerry, and all of that. It is provided with the Employee Central integration, and not only that, but it's also supported by a variety of browsers as well for the ease of use for the organizations. So now that is for the managers. Now what about the employees? So we are giving our employees, we are empowering our employees to be able to access and update your information from home page once they log in. And Cody is going to walk us through a little bit of that, where you can have access to various tools to be able to successfully perform your job task as an employee. So social collaboration, another very key aspect where you have ability to, you can share the content, you can form the groups and look for the expertise that I may need as an employee in whatever that employee may need at the time to be successful, to be able to do their job. And all of that is mobile-enabled, very powerful solution capabilities. Now, for the leader's perspective, so we're talking about how it is for ease of use and what value does it bring for each user. Now, for leaders, all of above what we discussed as a HR, as a manager, employee, from a leader's perspective, they need a wide range of robust reporting capabilities on their dashboards. They want to be able to make sure that they have business impact of HR strategies, and they want to be able to quantify the productivity rate as an example. The benchmarking is another area that SuccessFactors has addressed within the solution to meet the organization needs in a very robust manner. The Employee Central has empowered really your leaders with the tools for them to be self-dependent and accountable. They are in system. They are able to access metrics and KPIs to be able to make better business decisions for the organization and for their workforce. Let's get into the next slide, please. So what you will see in my screen is a short list of on-premise and SuccessFactors Cloud Employee Central solution comparison. It's just a very high level. As you see, with on-premise, as you see, there is a heavy upfront investment in terms of maintenance costs, and there are longer deployments, and then user interface is perhaps not as comparable to SuccessFactors. Now, Employee Central, on the other hand, is a pure SaaS service as a solution, service and based solution, which is much lower total cost of ownership than on-premise core HR solutions. Also, it easily scales as business. And I spent some time earlier on the value that the Employee Central brings to table, whether it's addressing your global or local needs, auditing, reporting capabilities with analytics, single source of truth. Are you able to integrate it with other modules within HCM or outside of the HR area? It's certainly addressing tons of training time to end user topic perspective, where you are as an organization investing huge amount in getting your folks trained to use. Now this tool is easy, it's intuitive, and it requires least amount of training. With SuccessFactors, you pay a subscription-based fee, and what you get in return is a solution that you can implement faster. You don't have to worry about upgrade risk. It's modern. It has considered the 21st century generation needs that we need to address, considering the changes that are happening in the marketplace. It has a huge impact on our organization's processes, and HR is no different. So you can access it on the mobile. Security is embedded based on how you have defined your org structures and how you define your roles and role-based permissions. All of that is available in 177 countries and over 35 languages, and it's still evolving. So that being said, and we talked about from here and out, Corey, why don't we show what we have taught so far to our attendees today? Cody, would you please unmute yourself?
I'm just going to go ahead and briefly talk about the demonstration flow for the system demonstration. So first, what I'm going to get into is the employee view, where I'll show you some employee self-service as well as how you're able to manage your own data. Then next, I'll move into a managerial view, where you get into manager self-service, show you the public profile, as well as how you're able to promote as well as terminate an employee, and also how you're able to manage your own time off. Then next I'll get into the HR administration view, where we're going to go through adding a new employee. And then lastly, briefly touch on analytics and reporting. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and log into the system. And what I'm going to do is log in using two different web browsers, just in order to show you the versatility of the system. Because the system, again, you can go ahead and use any web browser that you choose. For example, here I'm using Google Chrome, as well as Mozilla Firefox. You could use even Internet Explorer or Safari if you chose. So once the system loads, I'm going to be brought to my home page, where I'm logged in as Carla Grant, a manager in my organization. This is Carla's home page. As you can see, there's various tabs and tiles within the home page that are relevant to my job role within my organization. Now, on this home page, all the tabs and tiles can be dragged and dropped around or moved around the home page so that I can position them in a manner that I see fit. And in addition, I can also easily add or remove these tiles by using my tile browser and either selecting, for example, goal status to add it to the home page, or in addition, I can also remove one of these tabs or tiles by selecting one of the links that is checked, and then I would be able to remove it from the home page. First, what I'm going to do is get into our public profile, and in order to do so, I'm going to go into My Info, wait for this to load for just a second or two, and then I'm going to move into the public profile link. So now I've been brought into employee files under public profile for Carla Grant. You can see Carla's photograph is pictured on the top left of the screen. We have all of Carla's contact information as well as her job role within the organization. There's also a brief blurb that Carla has put on herself describing some interests. Then you can also see this big colorful background image that is on the public profile. This image is customizable similarly to how you would put a timeline photo on Facebook or Twitter. Then also down towards the bottom of the page, I have three areas referred to as badges, the org chart, as well as tags. Now, badges are just a way of people within the organization. It's just a way for them to be able to recognize each other, for example, for a job well done. So you can see here I have a badge from Alexander Thompson saying Carla did a fantastic job at the annual conference. And I can also allocate badges accordingly based on how I see fit. Next, I have a minimized view of my org chart. Now, I can easily move into the full-size view of the org chart by using this link here. But I'm going to go ahead and hold off on that because I'm going to get into the org chart in just a few minutes. And then lastly, on the public profile, I have what are referred to as tags. And this is where the social collaboration aspect comes in. Where as you can see, I have a tag, for example, sales management. If I were to move into sales management, I would be able to see who else has that tag within my organization. So now that I've oriented you to how the public profile looks, I'm going to show you some self-service in which I'm going to get into personal information and show you all of my personal info and how I'm able to view adjustments that have been made and also how I'm able to make corrections or adjustments myself. So on the page, I'm still under employee files, but now I'm brought into personal info. I have a few areas on the screen. I have my national ID card, some personal information, my addresses, some further personal info, as well as work permit info if there is any, as well as contact information, personal contacts, and dependents. So I'm going to focus on the addresses area of the screen. As you can see, I have my home address and mailing address pictured. And I also have this history tab, which I'm going to move into so we can take a look at the historical data of my address information. So you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we're under the history of address info. Then I have below all of the different corrections that have been made to my addresses and the date a correction was made. So for example, on May 1st, 2008, my address changed from 791 Dolores Street to 686 Harvester Drive. And if I also see that anything is incorrect with my home address or mailing address, for example, in order to make a correction, I just move into Take Action and Make Correction. Now, this is an exciting time for Carla Grant. She has just purchased a new vacation home. So there's no address for this vacation home currently, so I need to go ahead and add that address. So I'm going to move into Insert a New Record. And it's given me the ability to now edit the addresses that I currently have entered. But what I need to do is add a new address, so I'm going to move into Add Addresses. Now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the screen, and the system is prompting me to ask what type of address am I adding. And there's a few different selections I can choose, home, mailing, and vacation. So I'm going to go ahead and add a vacation home. And next, I need to add the country that the vacation home is in. And just to show you some versatility within the system, we're going to say that Carla's new vacation home is in Japan. And if you'd notice that because I've chosen Japan for the vacation home, I now have up to 4 address lines, a city, a prefecture, as well as a postcode. And then if you would notice for the United States home address, I only have up to 2 address lines, city, state, zip, and county. So the system knows, based on which country that you select, what the requirements are for filling out an address within that country. So now that I've showed you some employee self-service, I'm going to go ahead and move back to the home page and get into the org chart, which I just previously hinted on from the public profile. Now, in order to get into the org chart, I'm going to use the links tile that I have on my home page and move into org chart. Now, this is going to give me the full screen view of the org chart. As you can see, I am pictured at the top of the org chart. With below me, I have pictured every single one of my direct reports. Now, each of these pictures is an interactive block. So if I were to go ahead and click on Carla's picture, for example, I get all of her company contact information that we saw on the home page. And the same can be said for everyone else on this org chart. For an example, I'll move down to Marcus Hoff. You can also see all of his contact information within his organization. Now I'm going to get into what we refer to as manager self-service. This is also an exciting time for Marcus. He's been doing a great job. So we're going to go ahead and promote Marcus from his current position. In order to do so, I used the drop-down menu from the box and moved into Take Action. And in order to promote Marcus from his current position, I'm going to get into Change Job and Compensation Info. Now I'm still under Employee Files, and I'm brought into Update Employee Records. And the system is asking me, what changes are you proposing for Marcus Hoff? And the changes that I'm proposing is changing his job information as well as adjusting his compensation information because Marcus is being promoted. So now that I've selected job info as well as compensation info, on the bottom of the screen, I am now prompted to fill out the required fields for promoting Marcus Hoff under job information as well as compensation information. So first what I do, there's a few required fields that need to be filled out, and this is going to be constant throughout the demonstration. You will see a little red asterisk next to the required fields. So a required field here is the job classification, in which I'm going to promote Marcus to the Vice President of Marketing. And you're going to see that his job classification, as well as job title, local job title, and pay grade have been adjusted accordingly. And to the right of those fields, you can see that his previous classification, job title, and pay grade are now crossed off in gray, which shows, again, the historical data, so I know what Marcus's previous position was. Now that I've updated the necessary job information, I'm going to go ahead and move down into compensation information and adjust Marcus's base salary accordingly. Now, under this compensation page, you can see I have some information related to comp ratio, range penetration, as well as annualized salary and total earnings opportunity, also referred to as TEO. Now, in order to change Marcus's base salary, I have a little calculator link here, which I'm going to go ahead and click on, and I can either change the amount, change the percent, or change the total amount. So I'm going to update Marcus's salary by changing the percent, and I'll initiate a 3% increase for Marcus. As you can see, the changed amount has been figured in at $4,875, as well as the total amount has also been updated. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply these changes. And we're again going to see historical data for Marcus's previous compensation information, as well as how it has been updated. As you can see, next to comp ratio and range penetration all the way down to TEO, I have the historical data as well as the new current data. So now that I've updated Marcus's job info as well as the compensation info, I'm going to go ahead and submit this transaction. And what I'm going to get is a list of who is in line to approve this transaction. This will just take a second or two to go ahead and load. And now in order to view the workflow participants, I have a drop-down menu here, and I'm going to get a list of approvers, ranked 1, 2, and 3. And through every step of the way, I'm going to be CC'd on everyone's approval decision so that I'm informed as to what decision they're making and why. So now that I've gone into the org chart and some manager self-service, I'm going to continue, but I'm going to go ahead and move into the other system that I have loaded in a different web browser just to continue to show you the versatility. And next what I'm going to get into is how you can manage your own time off. Now I'm brought to a screen with, again, Carla Grant is pictured. We're under Employee Files for Time Off. And I have a calendar on the screen for November, December, and January. The system is informing me that I have 21 vacation days as well as 10 sick leave days. Then if you go ahead and focus on the calendars on the screen, you'll see that Saturdays and Sundays are grayed out, which means that these are weekend days, which are non-work days in which I would not need to request a vacation or a sick leave day. In addition, you'll also see that there's some weekdays that are also grayed out, which just means that these are holidays. For example, November 27th is Thanksgiving, so I would also not have to request a vacation day or a sick leave day. Now, in order to request a vacation day, all I have to do is move up to vacation, go ahead and highlight it, and just for an example, I'll go ahead and request November 13th off, and now that is highlighted in green on my calendar. Now I'm going to go ahead and move down to the bottom of the screen, and we'll see that Carla Grant's vacation day that has been requested for November 13th is visible, as well as two of my direct reports are going to be on vacation the same week that I requested a vacation day. So this allows me the visibility to be able to allocate my resources accordingly based on who's working and when. So now that I've showed you how you can manage your time off, I'm just going to quickly get into SuccessFactors role-based permissions, as Kieran hinted on a few moments ago. And I'm going to search for an employee that is in my organization but is not under my direct reports and is also located in a different country. This employee happens to be located in our Sydney, Australia location. You can see I'm brought to her public profile, which looks almost exactly the same as my own, Carla Grant's. I have my contact information on the screen as well as my blurb, my background image as well as my badges, org chart, and tags. But as you remember, when I was on Carla Grant's public profile, I moved into personal information. And if I go ahead and try to access Gina Walker's personal information, the system is telling me that I'm not authorized to view this data for the selected users because I do not have the permissions to do so. So that is where our end-to-end role-based permissions comes in. So next I'm going to go ahead and move back into the original system that I was in under Google Chrome. And I'm going to now show you how to terminate or retire an employee. Now, I could do this by moving back into the org chart and following a similar process that I did for Marcus Hoff, but I'm going to show you how I can do this right from the home page. So as you can see in the middle of the screen here, I have my team pictured, and each of these pictures is still interactive as they were on the org chart. So I've just selected Sid Morton. And in order to terminate or retire Sid, I'm going to go into Actions and select Terminate and Retire. Now I'm brought back into Employee Files, and the system, again, is asking me, what changes are you proposing for Sid Morton? And it knows that I'm either going to terminate or retire Sid because I previously selected it. Now there's a few required fields I need to fill out in order to complete this transaction. First, I need to establish the termination date, which we'll use for today, just for an example. And next, I also need to establish the termination reason, in which we'll say Sid is taking early retirement. Next, there's a few different areas that I could go ahead and fill in. For example, is it okay to rehire? Is he eligible for salary continuation? As well as when does his salary, benefits, and stock dates end? Once I've gone ahead and filled that out, at the bottom of the screen, I have the ability to transfer SID's direct reports. And currently I have it set up just for the purpose of the demonstration for all of SID's direct reports to be transferred to myself, and I could also adjust that accordingly in the future. Then after all these fields are complete, I would go ahead and move into submit, and I would also then again the system would be prompted to show me the workflow participants as we saw for Marcus Hoff when we promoted him. So now that we have promoted an employee from the sales director position, and I have also retired an employee for the sales director position, we now have a void at sales director. So I need to go ahead and hire a new employee. So in order to do so, I need to transfer over into an administrative role. So I'm going to use the feature called proxying, in which I am going to proxy as the system administrator. And now that I've proxied as the system admin, I'm going to be brought to Emily Clark's homepage, who is our system administrator. As you can see, I'm still Carla Grant, but I'm now on behalf of Emily Clark. This is Emily's homepage, which you can see still has tabs and tiles, but these tabs and tiles are relevant to Emily Clark's role as the system administrator. So in order to trigger the hiring process, I'm going to utilize this drop-down menu and move into Admin Tools. Here I'm brought to the Administration Tools page where I have all my company processes and cycles for each individual module, as well as I have the ability to manage my employees. So I'm going to move into Update User Information and then Add New Employee. So now I'm brought to the employee file under Add New Employee. As you can see at the top of the page, I have the workflow that needs to be followed in order to complete the hiring process. First, I need to establish the identity of this employee, then establish the personal info of the employee. Next, establish the job information or this employee's role within the organization, as well as lastly establishing the compensation information for the employee. So I need to establish the hire date of this employee first, which we'll use today's date just for an example. Next, I need to go ahead and establish the company or location in which this employee will be working out of, which will use the United States. And then next, I need an event reason, which the system will give me a couple of different options. And we'll say this employee is a new hire. Next, I'm going to move down into name information and just quickly establish the first and last name of the employee. Just for an example, I'll use Bill Clark. And then next, the last required field on this page is establishing the national ID card. And I'm going to use the United States for an example. And because I've selected the United States, the system knows that the national ID card is a social security number. So before I go ahead and move on to the next step, I just need to go ahead and quickly enter in a social security number. And now I'm able, because I've established the identity of the employee, I'm able to move into the personal information page. Just 1 second here. I guess I have entered in a duplicate ID number. Now I'm able to move into the personal information page where I have a few different areas that I need to establish. For example, this person's contact information within the organization. So first, what I need to do is establish an email for Mr. Clark. So for an example, we'll say it's billc@yash.com. Next, I need to establish Mr. Clark's work phone. So we'll establish a business line. And then next, I need to go ahead and enter a phone number for Mr. Clark. And then the system also allows me to enter in personal information such as birth name, gender, nationality, as well as I'm also able to establish addresses for Mr. Clark. Then lastly on the page, I also have the ability to establish personal contacts as well as dependents. So I'll go ahead and quickly enter in a dependent for Mr. Clark because it is a required field. And we'll just say, for an example, that Mr. Clark's dependent is his child. Now that I've filled in the required fields for identity and personal information, I am now able to move into job information and establish Mr. Clark's role within the organization. You can see this is similar to what we saw when we promoted Marcus Hoff. I have the ability to establish his employment details, target position, as well as his job information. And the job information is what I'm going to focus on. So as you can see, job classification is a required field. So since I've promoted a sales director and retired a sales director, I'm going to hire Mr. Clark as a new sales director within my organization. Now you can see that the job title, as well as local job title and pay grade, as well as regular and temporary status and standard weekly hours has been updated. So now that I've established Mr. Clark's role within the organization, I'm going to go ahead and lastly establish the compensation information for Mr. Clark, which is also similar to what we saw for Marcus Hoff. I have the ability to select his pay type, what type of benefits our new hire is eligible for, as well as I'm able to establish the amount that I see Mr. Clark is eligible for to be compensated, as well as establish pay targets and a spot bonus. Once that is complete, I would move into save, and then I would now have a new hire, Mr. Bill Clark, for a sales director in my organization. So now that I've gone through the hiring process as well as some manager self-service and employee self-service, I'm going to go ahead and move back into my managerial role as Carla Grant, and what I'm going to get into is analytics and reporting. Now, in order to move into the analytics page, I can again use my links tile from the home page and move into analytics, or I can utilize this drop-down menu, which has all the same links from the home page. Each one of these links pertains to each module within SuccessFactors. So I'm going to go ahead and move down into analytics. Now I'm being brought to what is referred to within the system as Dashboards 2.0. In just a few seconds, a few dashboards are going to be loaded on the screen. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen, I have a drop-down menu, which refers to the different dashboards that I have set up. For example, currently we're looking at succession. I also have a few others, such as compensation or a performance dashboard. But I'm going to go ahead and focus on our succession dashboards for now. So the one that we have pictured currently is time and succession plans. Next, I also have a succession readiness bar graph, followed by a pie chart for positions. Then last, I have a yellow bar graph for my most nominated successors. Now, in order to drill down into this bar graph, I'm going to go ahead and move over into See Full List. And now at the bottom of the screen, I have my bar graph explained to me into some greater detail. I'm now able to see nominee names as well as their number of nominations, their nomination date, and also a nominee potential rating label, whether it be solid, low, or high, as well as how far away they are from being ready to be a successor, whether it be 4 years, 1 to 2 years, 3+ years, or if they're ready now. So that's just an example of how analytics is a robust tool for a leader to use. And lastly, what I'm going to get into is reporting. And SuccessFactors has various standard reports within the system, as well as saved reports, scheduled reports, and ad hoc reports. But I'm going to go ahead and move into standard reports. You can see I have some various standard reports, such as birthday, what education my employees have, as well as headcount. So I'm going to go ahead and move into headcount and just show you how you can access any one of these standard reports. And in just a second, the system will prompt me to ask me how I'm going to access these reports. As you can see, I can either run a report online, run it offline, download a report, or export a report. But just to save time, I've already downloaded a PDF version of the report, as you can see the report on the screen. So now that I've gone through our Employee Central demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Kieran for our wrap-up and summary. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you so much. I must say, a lot of good information to absorb this morning. So once again, thank you, Cody, to flash some of the key highlights within the solution for our audience. So to wrap it up, most of us we've talked about, between Cody and I, was on the solution capabilities for an organization. It really is designed for everyone in your organization. The user interfaces are simple and engaging, and as an organization manager or a leader, you get a full employee file, and really you're looking at simplifying your processes within the solution. The solution itself provides you that capability, that flexibility. Compliance and country-specific reporting really is on your fingertips. Employee Central is not just about store the workforce information and use, how it is used, but it also supports HR in globalization and localization component. There are always going to be local variations for different countries. Now, system of record need to support all of those changing and constantly evolving processes, whether those are local, whether those are global. Whether you're looking at hiring or terminating day-to-day operations, they're all made easy by Employee Central. You saw that Cody did not have to remember transaction names or anything. It was very intuitive. You're able to manage your global employees. You can store the benefit information. You can record time off. All of those is addressed very well within the solution. It's supported by SuccessFactors for various third-party integrations, whether those are HR, non-HR related. Now, how does that impact adoption within your organization? We saw how interactive built-in visitors we have within the solution, flexible workflows. You can modify those. You can develop your workflows based on what your workflow process within the organization is for each action or separate actions. Usually those are different based on the type of actions you're taking on your employees. Now, you saw the quick glimpse of the reporting dashboard for your managers and for your leaders. All of this is mobile enabled and it's integrated with the social collaboration. Now, again, you're really addressing today's modern workforce needs. Solution is not just developed for human resource administrators, rather every end user. The solution is going to drive your employee engagement, which can be routed towards the business result as part of your business strategy execution, because now you're freeing up your leaders and your admins' time so they can be part of the strategy on a bigger picture, sit across from CEO, and then be able to participate in those discussions that bring the strategy on the table. So all of that, the solution has to support you, and SuccessFactors Employee Central brings you that to the table.